What are you two working on?
Hi everyone, my name is Luba, founder and co-founder and CEO of My Life, and we're building a live streaming service that allows anyone to create a pay-per-view event.
Talk to us about why you decided to build this.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. A couple of months ago, I've interviewed with Y Combinator, the most famous and the biggest startup accelerator in the world, where companies like Airbnb, Dropbox, Instacart, Coinbase, to name a few, went through, and I was rejected, and as a result did not receive $150,000 in funding for my startup. So I'd love to share this experience with you, and if you watch this video until the end, I will also be sharing a couple of learnings that I had from this experience of being rejected from Y Combinator. Okay, let's start from the basics. What is Y Combinator? Y Combinator is a seed startup accelerator that provides funding and support to startups that they select. The funding was at the time $150,000 US dollars, and why I'm saying at the time is because they just recently changed it to $125,000, where for this money you give away 7% of your company, but then outside of that you also get bi-weekly office hours with Y Combinator partners that are going to be specifically partnered with your startups, and you also have weekly speakers come and give talks. So speakers like VCs, like other founders, like executives from prominent companies. To give you an idea of the caliber of people that work at Y Combinator, some of the partners include Michael Siebel, the co-founder of Twitch, the live streaming platform, primarily for video gaming or for anything else. You've probably streamed some video games on it. Eric Michukovsky, who founded Pebble, that literally caused a paradigm shift in smartwatches and is up to this day the biggest crowdfunding campaign in the world. Also Paul Bunite, who literally created Gmail, and you probably use Gmail. Gustav Alstromer, the growth product lead at Airbnb. I actually interviewed Gustav a couple of months ago, so you can check out that video as well. So Y Combinator is awesome, it's big, it's famous, you get best of the best people if you get into the program, and you're a part of this incredible community of people, so it's awesome. Back in March, right at the start of the pandemic, my boyfriend and I had an idea. What if we give creators the power to monetize their live stream video directly? You know, platforms like Twitch accept donations, but it's free. Platforms like Instagram Live is completely free, and we have been seeing more and more creators, influencers, attaching their Venmo handle, fitness instructors that were left without any business, attaching their Venmo handle and doing live Instagram classes. So we thought, hey, why don't we build a service that literally was like a pay-per-view for your everyday influencer? And to give you an idea, the influencer market is at around $6 billion right now and expected to grow to $22.3 billion in 2024. So as soon as we came up with this idea, I got super excited and I thought, wow, this is awesome. I'm a creator myself. I can totally see myself doing this. I'm gonna right away apply to Y Combinator. There was one caveat though. Y Combinator applications have already been closed for about 2 weeks at that point. But you know what? I thought, why not? You know, might as well apply. Who knows what's gonna happen? Let's look at a Y Combinator application. You essentially need to talk about idea, team, competitive advantage. So for the idea, you can put a link for your website or a prototype if you have either. You need to describe in a couple of words what your idea is, why are you, your team, and you yourself are the right people to build it, what is the competition like, and why now? Are you excited about this problem, and how are you gonna become a really big multi-million or ideally multi-billion $1 company? And so then you go into the team and describe who are the team members, what is your background, what is the background of other people on your team. And so essentially you submit all this information, and you also need to submit a 2-minute, up to 2-minute, I believe, video of yourself and your team presenting about your idea, and then ta-da! You submit the application and then, you wait. I submitted the application, and since we were genuinely super pumped about the idea, we're like, okay, so now we need to build a prototype to actually test the waters to see if this idea works. When it comes to the prototype, the best way to build it is to rely on a bunch of existing tools. So we essentially built like a website wrapper that collected payments, that allowed you to create an account and allowed you as a creator to send a link to your audience so that they could actually go ahead and buy tickets to this live stream. But then the live stream itself completely happens on Zoom, because we thought, okay, what is the point of reinventing Zoom, reinventing live streaming at this early of a stage? We're literally just trying to test out the waters. So that's a good tip for you guys. If you're trying to test out an idea, try to put it out there as soon as possible and experiment. So fast forward a month and a half since we had this prototype, we've hosted 8 events with I think about 6 creators. We processed $1,500 through the platform, and we even were testing a live tip-in feature. Like, what would it look like to have creators receive a tip live within a live stream? So we thought, it's pretty awesome. We have this whole product. We're starting to think how to move beyond the prototype stage. To be completely honest, I totally forgot about the fact that I applied to YC. And remember, I applied 2 weeks late, so I didn't even expect to, hear anything back. But in reality, on this date, I received this interview, and it was 9 days before the batch started. Oh my God. And then the next step I had to do is to select an interview date. And I selected the date. It was 6 days away from me receiving this email. So for the next 6 days, I just prepared. And to put this in perspective, every batch YC receives about 15,000 or more applications. And they only invite 500 companies to actually interview. So at that stage already, I kind of patted myself on the back and said, wow, this is already a huge success, just the fact that I got this interview. YC interviews are only about 10 minutes long, and so I've contacted all my friends that I knew have gotten experience interviewing at YC or have gotten through YC to kind of gather data of what do I need to prepare for, how does the interview look like, and all of that time I was just day and night just studying and figuring out like what I could be asked. I put together a whole list of questions, and we were doing mock interviews, and I was told that the interview is going to be super intense, that the partners might even be kind of like rude at cutting you off and just, doing rapid fire questions, because in those 10 minutes, they're supposed to literally find out like, okay, do I give this person $150,000 or do I not? So I was prepared for like a bloodbath of an interview. The day has come. I think our interview was at 1 p.m. and I woke up at maybe 8 a.m. and for a few hours was just stressing out and re-reviewing my answers to make sure I got everything and I could do anything I can before the interview. And the only thing we knew is that there's going to be 3 to 5 partners in the interview, but we did not know who's going to be interviewing us. So at 1 p.m. mark, we get into Zoom, and the interview was about 30 minutes late, so we just had to sit there and stress out. And then we finally get in, and it's Michael Siebel, who's the co-founder of Twitch. He's the one interviewing us, which was super awesome and made sense because we were building a product in a similar space, and the other partners didn't really talk that much, so he was the main person speaking. And the interview was super chill. It was more of a conversation, of a dialogue, nothing like those intense rapid fire interrupt questions that I expected. So I felt really good in it. The interview actually went about 5 minutes over, which we then thought was a good sign. It was like 15 to 16 minutes long instead of 10. And I think we did as good as we could do. So we're really relieved by the end of it. Later that evening, I received an email from Michael Siebel himself asking that they need more time and they're wondering when the prototype for our product can be done. So as you remember, we did build a prototype, but that prototype was like super jank and it wouldn't really be a product that we would be, testing out with the majority of the users. So the prototype was extremely important, like our own standalone live streaming service. I had another friend who is a stellar engineer, worked at Uber, at Coinbase, and he was super excited to jump on the project as well. And so, we chatted with him, we figured out when the prototype could be done. My idea was like 5-6 weeks, and we're aligned on that timeline with him. So that's ultimately what I said in the email. We haven't heard anything back for about a week. And the next thing we've heard is that Michael wanted to jump on another call, which was, again, super awesome. We spent about 25 minutes on the call with him, and his main concern around our team and our product was that we were kind of positioning it as like marketing, and how we're gonna promote it is the most important thing. Then, we answered his questions. We tried to reassure him, saying that, hey, we got this, we're gonna build this prototype within like 1/3 of the program, and that was kind of that call. 2 days after that call, we did receive that ultimate decision from YC, and it was a rejection letter. What's good about YC is that in every rejection, they give you genuine feedback for what they thought was not, good enough to be accepted into the program. And he expressed those concerns about us being super early in the prototype. We did not have a prototype yet. He did say that he thinks it's a product that you first need to offer like free live streaming before charging. Ultimately wished us good luck to not give up and to apply to YC again if we want to. After receiving the rejection from YC, we of course were bummed, but to be honest, that whole experience was really insightful. I've never done a startup interview before. It was a privilege and an honor to interview with such amazing people and to spend so much time with Michael Sebo. Me and my team, we spent about a month and a half running at the product. After YC, we've applied to another startup accelerator for the same reasons of not having a prototype and being too early. We got rejected as well. We ran at this product for about a month and a half and ultimately then decided to wrap up this idea. You might be wondering why. Building a high-growth startup requires being completely, incredibly obsessed about the problem and the product at hand. We were excited about pay-per-view live streaming. The pandemic made us even more excited about it because it was clearly such an awesome and obvious opportunity. But if you are taking money from venture capital investors, you're expected to grow the product at like an incredibly fast pace. If you're building a startup that you want to impact millions and millions of people, that you want to grow fast, you just need to live and breathe that problem and that space. And we just ultimately realized that we weren't the right team for it. We weren't living and breathing the problem enough, and it just didn't make sense to run after something so consumer facing without having this this inner drive. So that was my first learning. My other learning related to YC interview prep specifically, or really to any pitch investor meeting, is this. The best way to prepare is to know your product. And I know that it sounds really, really obvious, but you can be spending time putting a list of potential questions together, memorizing answers, coming up with some strategies that you think other people would like as hearing as answers. But the reality is that if you know your product, if you know your user, if you know your competition, if you know your differentiation, these are the most important things that matter. And one of my friends, Jeff, super awesome guy, shout out to Jeff if you're watching this video, he was one of the people that gave us this advice. Don't stress out about specific interview questions, just know your freaking product. And that's a learning that I want you guys to take away. If you're building a startup, if you're building a company of any size, I think knowing your product and customer is the most important thing. By the way, if you have any comments or questions about my YC experience or any questions about fundraising and pitching, please leave them in the comment section down below. I actually read every single comment that you guys post, so any comments are super highly appreciated. I'm really grateful to Michael Sebo for giving us so much of his time, for really being curious about our product, about our team, and really taking the time to think about accepting us into Y Combinator. That was was awesome. If you're on a startup journey yourself, don't give up, persevere, know your customer, know your product, apply to YC even if you feel you're not ready, apply to, other startup accelerators, and I wish you all the best. And I hope you learned something from my experience going through YC interview process, not YC the program, unfortunately, and from being rejected. Don't forget to like this video if you did learn something. I really appreciate it and helps me a ton as a creator. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and bye for now.